YouTube. How we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo. And there's another episode of Yo Hoops. We go through every NBA game every day. Today is Wednesday, January 29th, and we have an 11-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through every game, let you know which sides I like, and I have 2 highlighted selections for today. I do this every day for free, so make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite games in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, we went 1-0 on our highlighted play of the day. We took the Portland Trailblazers plus 6 points against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Blazers were in command the entire game. They ended up winning 125 to 112, even on the money line. We're now 28-15 against the spread on all highlighted plays. Let's go get number 29 today. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup, we have the Brooklyn Nets in Charlotte taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Hornets are laying 3.5 points, and the total is 204. The Hornets continue to catch the injury bug, man. Brandon Miller out for the season, and now LaMelo Ball is currently out. It hasn't been official that he's out for the season, but he got injured last game against the Lakers, backpedaling on a 3-point celebration. That's crazy. The Nets are also banged up here, but they've been hooping like that all season, so that's nothing new for the Nets. When I look at these teams' records against the spread, the Hornets are 0-1 ATS as home favorites. So they haven't won a game all season while covering the spread at home. And like I told you guys, we faded them in that one game that they were favorites. You shouldn't be laying points with Charlotte. Road underdogs is the spot where the Nets have been cashing. When I look on their side, they're now 15-9-1 against the spread as road underdogs. So I have to look in Brooklyn's direction. Without any point guard to orchestrate Charlotte's offense, I mean, Brandon Miller's out, LaMelo Ball's out, Trey Mann went down in the beginning of the season. I don't think the Hornets really stand a chance here. In my opinion, this line should be more Charlotte plus 1.5. With that being said, we're taking the Nets plus the 3.5 points as our first highlighted selection of today. We're starting the day off strong. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Detroit Pistons in Indiana taking on the Indiana Pacers. Pacers are laying 6.5 points, and the total is 229.5. This is a good spot for both of these teams. The Pistons have been hoping in the new year, and we know that. They're now 12-7-1 against the spread as road underdogs. So they've been profitable. You've been cashing in this spot. Looking at the Pacers, they're now 7-7-1 as home favorites, but they are 12-8 straight up on the money line. They've just been covering spreads, laying points at a 50-50 clip. The thing for me is, at this point in the season, I'm starting to see the more talented teams hooping, starting to lock in and solidify their spots. That's important at this point in the season for playoff seeding. So I'm seeing a lot of the good teams start to play their best ball, and that makes sense. This is a critical point in the season. We saw the Pistons last game against Cleveland. They got aired out by 19. In this spot, I think the Pacers are the more talented squad, like I'm saying, and this is a lock-in spot at home. These two teams faced off this month on January 16th, and the Pacers won 111-100, and that was in Detroit. They covered this line. So I think at home in Indiana, we see a similar comfortable win, if not by a few more points. We're taking the Pacers, laying the 6.5 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Toronto Raptors in Washington taking on the Washington Wizards. Raptors are laying 7 points, and the total is 231. The Raptors have been hoping. They won their last 4 games outright as underdogs. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they were plus money in every one of those games, so that's impressive. We know who the Wizards are this season. They've been atrocious, and we've been able to fade them in almost every spot. The thing for me in this game is the Raptors have been hooping as underdogs, not laying points. And here they're laying points. That's a whole nother story. They haven't been road favorites one time this season. The books on the road haven't thought Toronto was going to win one game. And that tells me something. That's for a reason. The Wizards are 6-39 straight up this season. Worst record in the league. But I don't think they lose every game. Come on, guys. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Wiz get an outright win here. We are in Washington, and in Toronto is normally where the Raptors play their best ball. So give me the Wizards plus the 7 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Chicago Bulls in Boston taking on the Boston Celtics. Celtics are laying 14 points, and the total is 232. Like I mentioned in that Pacers game, this is the point in the season where good teams start to lock in because they need to solidify playoff seeding. This is that spot for the Celtics. When I look at the injury reports for this game, on Boston's side, Jason Tatum, Sam Hauser, and Al Horford are all questionable. And on the Bulls side, Torrey Craig and Zach LaVine are ruled out. Kobe White is questionable. It's critical if Kobe White plays, but Zach LaVine being out is already a problem for the Bulls. I see this as a lock-in spot where the better team wins, like I'm telling you guys. The Celtics won the last meeting between these two, 123-98, and that was in Chicago. They absolutely aired them out, covered this line with ease, and I think we see a similar blowout here in Boston. We're taking the Celtics laying the 14 points as our next selection of today. In our next matchup, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers in Miami taking on the Miami Heat. Cavs are laying 7 points, and the total is 227. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'll be tuned into it. The Heat have been playing well recently. They're starting to find their rhythm without Jimmy Butler, and that makes sense to me. It brings some clarity as to where there was uncertainty around, is he going to stay, is he going to leave? So they're starting to mesh knowing that he's going to be gone. This isn't a great spot overall for Miami, though. The Heat are just 2-3 against the spread as home underdogs, while Cleveland, we know they hoop. They're 11-6 against the spread as road favorites. So this is definitely a favorable spot for Cleveland. This game comes down to the Cavs being the way more talented team, and like I was telling you guys, these being lock-in spots for playoff seeding and for the better teams to go crazy. We saw it in the Cavs last game. They aired out the Pistons by 19. I think they keep it rolling. We're taking the Cavs laying the 7 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Denver Nuggets in New York taking on the New York Knicks. Knicks are laying 3 points, and the total is 240.5. The Knicks are hoping. They're currently on a 4-game win streak, and they won their last few games in dominant fashion. The Nuggets on the other side have not impressed me. They've dropped their last 2 meetings in a row, and they got aired out as 9-point favorites against Chicago in their last meeting. Not what you want to see. The thing for me in this one is I can't ignore Denver as road dogs. They have a 5-2 against the spread record, and I feel like we've stayed cashing anytime they make Denver underdogs on the road. Knicks are 13-9-1 as home favorites. That surprises me because they're such a big market team. You're making money betting on New York in New York, but I can't lay points on the Nuggets, who in my opinion are already the better team. So getting points, I have to take it. We're taking the Nuggets plus the 3 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Sacramento Kings in Philadelphia taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Kings are laying 9 points, and the total is 229. The Sixers are on a back-to-back here, and they're still extremely banged up. We know that. I loved what I saw from them yesterday, though. In the game against the Lakers, we had the Sixers, and they won outright on the money line. The back-to-back, though, does put them in a tough spot being so shorthanded. Joel Embiid and Paul George are ruled out for this game, and the rest of the injury report is tentative, but keep an eye on it because there's a bunch of people, Caleb Martin, Andre Drummond, etc., etc. The Kings haven't come through for us laying extended numbers this season, but I do think this is a great spot for them. They're fully healthy, and the Sixers don't have the personnel or the legs, in my opinion, on a back-to-back to compete in this game. The Kings also found some clarity announcing that they will be moving away from De'Aaron Fox. So knowing that, he was playing atrocious, and I think that was to get out of Sacramento. So now knowing that he will be on the move, I think the Kings can finally get back to business. We're taking the Kings laying the 9 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Dallas Mavericks in New Orleans taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Mavs are laying 1.5 points, and the total is 233. This is another fun one to watch. I'll definitely be tuned in. With the 2 current active rosters on these squads, they're evenly matched in my opinion. The Mavs in this one are without Luka Dante Exum, Derek Lively, Maxi Kleba, and Dwight Powell. The Pelicans have DeJounte Murray probable, and Herb Jones is still out. But besides that, they're getting a little bit more clear on their injury report. In my opinion, the Mavs have been hooping even banged up, though. They've been getting wins and ATS covers. They've covered in their last 3 out of 4 games. You're steady cashing, getting points with the Mavs. They aired out the Wizards in their last game. I know you guys saw Klay Thompson drop 21 points in the first quarter. He was looking like the old Klay. Mind you, he only ended the game with 23, which is insane to me. But hey, they blew out the Wizards and they look good. The Pelicans on the other side are on a 3-game losing streak. This game is a true pick'em to me, but in that style game, I trust the Mavericks with a player like Kyrie Irving to be able to close out a close game. So we're taking the Mavs laying the 1.5 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the LA Clippers in San Antonio taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Clippers are laying 3.5 points and the total is 223. In this game, we're looking at the total. Both of these teams are bottom half offenses in the league. The Spurs average 112 points per game, while the Clippers average 109.9. That sets us right at this total, but when I think about who these two teams are, they're defensive style teams and they're going up against each other. The Clippers have the number 3 defense in the league. As a team, they absolutely lock down. And while San Antonio only has the number 21 defense in the league, they have the number 1 individual defender in the league on their team, Victor Wembanyama. He's the best interior defender and best rim protector in the league. So these two teams going up against each other, I think we cruise under this total. We're taking the under 223 as our second highlighted selection of today. Let's move. In our next matchup, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves in Phoenix taking on the Phoenix Suns. Wolves are laying 1.5 points and the total is 217.5. Looking at the injury reports for this game, so KD is questionable for the Suns. That's huge. And then Dante DiVincenzo is still ruled out. That's not a new addition for Minnesota, but definitely keep an eye on if Kevin Durant plays. Even if he does play, I do lean towards the Timberwolves in this spot, though. Both of these teams are in a situation here where it is a lock-in spot, the playoff seeding situation like I was talking about. But the Wolves have absolutely owned the Suns recently. The Wolves have won the last 5 meetings in a row against Phoenix, and they've covered this line in all 5. I don't see a reason or a difference to get off of Minnesota, a reason why Phoenix would emerge and win this one. So we're not bucking the trend or trying to catch the falling knife. We're taking the Wolves laying the 1.5 points as our next selection of today. Let's move. In our last and final matchup of the evening, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder in Golden State taking on the Golden State Warriors. Thunder are laying 10 points and the total is 227.5. Looking at the injury reports for this game, Steph Curry is probable. He didn't play yesterday, but he was most likely resting in preparation for this game. Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga will not play, but those aren't new additions to the IRs. And then on the Thunder side, they have no new additions to the injury reports. The Warriors are on a back-to-back, like I was saying. They played a competitive bout against Utah yesterday, and being an older team, I do believe that the back-to-back has an effect to some extent on the Warriors. We know the Thunder are a money-making machine. As road favorites, they're now 11, 7, and 2 against the spread, and that's laying points on the road. Home dogs is not the Warriors' spot. They're 3 and 4 against the spread. And in my opinion, the Thunder remind me of an early version of the Warriors, how the Warriors used to look a self-built team that was rising up, all of a sudden has championship potential. That's what the Thunder look like these days. And that being said, it's only right. It's a rite of passage for the Thunder to come in and whoop up on the Warriors. That's what the Warriors used to do back in the day to teams like the Lakers, the Spurs, those OG teams. They used to whoop them up. Now that the Warriors are getting older, it's full circle. That's the circle of basketball life right there. We're taking the Thunder, laying the 10 points as our last and final selection of today. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. It was nice to get back in the win column and catch a plus money dog outright win yesterday. I like both of the highlighted plays of the day today, so make sure you lock those in. I'm going to be here doing this every day for free, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo. And until the next one, I'm going to catch y'all. Peace.